Welcome to Crochet Basics Part 3. We're going to build our foundation, and in order to build a foundation, we have to build a chain. All right. In the previous video, I showed you how I do my slip knot. That's the first thing you need to do. There's different ways to do this. If this isn't working, you might want to search up some videos for how other people make slip knots. I twist my tail of the yarn around the working yarn. So now I've got a twist happening here. Crawl my fingers through that lasso, pull the working yarn into that lasso, through that lasso, and just pull tight. That's my slip knot. All right, we're going to move this out of the way. All right, so we're going to build a chain. You learned how to hold your yarn in the previous video. We've done a slip knot. You've inserted your hook into the slip knot, pulled it close to the hook. I like to give it a little bit of ease here. I don't want it tight, tight, tight. Just pull it a little bit. You need a little bit of room in here. I might as well start talking about tension right from the beginning. Tension is how tight or how loose you crochet. The tighter you crochet, the more frustrating it's going to be once we work on top of this foundation chain. So I would encourage you to relax. I know it's hard to do when you're very first learning the new skill. It's very, very hard, but it's something once you practice a lot, it will get easier for you. So we're just going to chain. The way we do this, it's going to be the yarn going over the hook from the back to the front. We do not want it going front to back. Back over the front of the hook. So it's just kind of lying on top. Now see where I have the hook head, it's oriented up. It's catching that yarn in the neck, okay, in that groove. As I pull my hook, use my hook hand, and as I pull my hook hand to this loop, which as you can see, I'm pinching this with my yarn hand. I'm pinching that little knot down there. And you see there's some ease. It's a little bit loose. I am going to take the hook and I'm going to twist it. The head of the hook is going to go down and go through that little tunnel, that little loop. And then I twist the head back up. Okay? I'll show you that a few more times. Yarn over, back to front. I'm moving my fingers up for the pinching. Remember, I have more control the closer I am to the hook. Hook head gets gets turned downward through the tunnel. Turn it back upwards. That chain is done. You've done a couple chains now. Move my fingers up. Pinch. Yarn over hook, back to front. Hook is pulled with the head turned down, going through the tunnel. Head turns up. All right, let me show you what happens if you don't follow that process when you chain. Okay, let's say you were taught not to wrap your yarn around the hook like this, but you're used to doing it like this. I hope you can see, yes, it's possible, but I hope you can see that that's got a greater chance of flipping out of the hook. I did make that one work, but it's often kind of a frustrating thing, and it doesn't work very well. Didn't make a nice chain either. I don't know if you can see how tight, small that chain is. That's going to be really miserable to work into later. So again, back to front, and then hook head down. Now what happens if you don't twist the hook every time you pull it through? If I leave it like this, and I leave the hook head facing up, it's going to choke. Really going to have a hard time getting that through. Is it possible? Again, yeah. You're more likely to, lose your loop off the hook. For smoother and more successful chaining. Just from the back to the front, twist the head down, twist the head up. So your hook hand, I'm sorry, the hand holding your hook is going to just be basically doing this. Your index finger will hold that loop to keep it from sliding off, and your yarn hand is going to be pinching close to the hook because you want more control. The further away you get from that hook, the more you lose control. And you know, it's likely that you'll forget that and end up with your hand far away. And when things start to get really uncomfortable and you know you have no control over it, just remember, bring it back up. All right, so I'm going to do several chains. You can watch how my hands work. And I'm doing this slowly. I'll even slow it down a little bit more, moving that up. All right. So I usually do a few chains before I move my fingers up to get control again. This is the part of crochet that's going to take, I think, the longest to learn. If you're a natural at it, yay. This won't take very long for you at all. If this takes you a little while, keep at it. Just chain. Take the whole skein of yarn and just chain. When my children were small, they would chain entire skeins of yarn. And we did fun things with that. But go ahead, make a chain as long as it takes to get this nice, consistent result. Might be kind of hard to see. You want a nice loose chain, not super loose. This would be a super loose chain. That's a bit much. You don't need that. The other thing you want to avoid is the super tight chaining. This is going to be really hard to work into. This is going to be big and sloppy to work into. This is just right. This is the Goldilocks level of crochet. Just right. So practice, practice, practice. Just keep chaining. Things you can do with chains, but don't throw it away when you're done. It's quite all right. You can take a cleaned out juice can, like I have done here. And starting at the bottom, just hot glue the chain around and around and around and around the can. And you've got a little decorative pencil holder, which is kind of nice. And it doesn't really matter if your chains were loose or if your chains were tight. It will give you a more consistent chain to work with, which is really nice once we continue on with the single crochet stitch, which will be coming up next. So just practice your chaining. Watch this video as many times as it takes in order for you to get comfortable with chain crochet. You're building your, I got a twisted chain here. You're building your foundation to work upon. Alrighty. So just keep this up. Don't worry how long this takes. This is a very important step. It seems really unimportant, but it's important. Alrighty, we'll see you in the next video.